You don't compete with a force. You just get out the way. Your power's begging you to play. Begging you to play. Begging you to play.
If you want to make someone buy from you, you are probably going to have to make them feel something. In a day and age where so many people are selling the exact same service and product that you are selling, in order to get people to be like, I want to pay her, I want to buy that, you're probably going to have to make them feel something. Welcome back to the Amma Lot podcast. I am your host, Amma Swiger, and we're going to be diving into all of my very many thoughts on this because, as you might suspect, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Shocker of the century, I know. I came across a few things this morning on my Instagram and on Threads when I was doing my little morning scroll, and I was like, you know what? We're going to make this into a podcast episode. So let's get into all my little juicy, insane, magical little thoughts I have about this because there are many. So often, we are chasing what we perceive the, quote, influential people around us, what they are doing. And we think that if we do what they do, what they're doing, we will get to the top. I would argue that that is the fastest way to fitting in. And to be really honest, fitting in has never made people money. It's never made me money. Every iteration of my career, anytime I have kind of fallen to doing what is popular around me, that is the times where my income has plateaued. Every single time. And what I have also found in working with the hundreds of clients that I've worked with at this point, there is something uniquely magical about all of us. We're all different from each other. Duh. We have different perspectives, different experiences, different ideals, values, ways of looking at things, the way we speak about things, different perspective. And so often in this beautiful, magical online space, we're being told every second of the day, here's how you should say it. Here's the framework you should follow. Here's how you should present yourself. Here's how you should look. This is what your branding should be like. There's all of these rules. And as somebody who has my own frameworks for sure, and who have lots of clients who are wildly successful, who also have their own frameworks, hear me when I say the framework isn't the problem. The problem is that we often outsource our power to that framework. You can't see me right now. I'm raising my hand because I have done this more times than I can fucking tell you. And I have an uncanny knack of sometimes foregoing the thing that makes me the most excited in the name of chasing what somebody else has said is successful. Because like all humans, I am looking for ways to collapse time, to make things happen quicker. And of course, there are ways that you can do that. But it's almost never going to require you to give up who you are, to quiet yourself, to fit yourself into a box. What it is going to require is you making somebody feel something. And here's where that, I think, loses a lot of steam for people. When I say you're going to have to make somebody feel something, it's like, okay, yay. On one hand, I want people to feel excited when they interact with my brand, when they meet me, when they see what I'm all about. I want to make them feel like they fit into my world, right? Like that this is their home. This is a place that they can land, that I have something to teach them, that I have something to offer, right? Of course we want that. The problem is that because we are logical human beings, some level of your subconscious understands that in order to make your people feel the right thing for them to say yes, you are going to have to make a lot of people feel something completely different that's probably going to make them not like you or disagree with you or say that you're wrong. It's this double-edged sword, right? We want to make people like us. We want to make people connect with us. But when you are online, when you are existing in a world where there are so many different types of people and so many different ways of doing things and belief systems and values, of course, if you are going to stand 10 toes down on what you believe and who you are and what you know to be true, there are going to be people that are going to disagree with you. And not only do you have to be willing to make your people feel the good, happy, woo, yay, I love her feelings, you also have to be okay with making the people who disagree with you feel that too. One, because if you are for everybody, you are for nothing. I think that we all think that if you're like getting rounds of applause from literally everyone. It's like, congratulations, that's cool. But like, if you look at those brands, they've moved no one. They might have a ton of likes and comments. Think of influencers that you know. Like, there are a couple huge accounts that I follow. Sure, they are making some deals from sponsorships. But they are not selling their product. They are not selling something themselves. They are just making nice, cute little platitudes. I think of all these like little like Instagram accounts where it's like a bunch of quotes every day. And it's like, cool, that's great. You're going to get a lot of likes and shares and comments, and people are going to, share it to their stories, and like, you're going to get all this positivity. But like, will it have done anything that actually moves anyone to make a decision that benefits you? Not really. I don't do things for applause. I do things for dollars. Like, as a business owner, sure, in my life, I want to be a good person. I want to exist within my integrity and to do things that are in alignment with my values. But when it comes, and the same is true as a business owner, but when it comes to like how I'm measuring my success as a business owner, it's not, did people like me today? It's, did I sell something today? Are people purchasing from me day over day, week over week, month over month? I don't really care if people are liking my Instagram. I can think of one of the most influential times of me owning a business. I booked a metric ton of clientele within a very short period of time. I think it was like 8 days. My Instagram, for what little I posted, was like the Sahara Desert. There was not really likes in sight. Like, one of the posts I posted, I think, got like 30 views. Views, not likes, views. I was getting like maybe 100 or 200 views on other things, a handful of likes across 5 or 6 posts, but I was raking in the cash on the other side. The views and the likes, the applause doesn't mean anything to me. I care about moving people. Are there things that make people go, I have to work with her, over the hundreds, thousands of options that they have? I am not the only content creator. I'm not the only talented photographer and videographer. By a landslide, there are so many talented people. But why would they want to work with me? I have to move them to make them want to do that. I see the same thing with the way people approach visuals. So much of what people come to me looking for, less and less now, because I feel like I've gotten a lot better at like speaking to the kinds of content I want to be making. But if you look at the internet at large, so much of the content for business owners is predictable. It's repeated concepts that we have decided as an industry that we expect as, quote, professional content. And guess what? It makes people feel absolutely nothing. If I see you in your cream suit or your white suit against a cream or a white background with your arms crossed or holding your laptop or holding your latte, it's a beautiful photo, but it's boring. I think of, if you know anything about Goss Magazine, and this is not to anything negative against them, they're not the ones who are picking the images. They're the people who feature the magazine are the ones submitting the imagery. And I've shot 2 covers for them, about to be 3. And, I myself was featured there. So this is not anything about them. But if you go to their Instagram page, scroll, so many of the photos look the same. It is what we have decided, quote, professional content looks like. And honestly, so much of it is boring. And not like boring as in it looks boring, but boring as in there's nothing about it that makes you feel like you know that woman, like you can see her, like you are getting a feeling for her values, by what moves her, by her own personal power. And that's not to say like, oh, never shoot in a studio. You can shoot in a studio and have a very powerful image that comes out of that, where somebody can get a sense of who you are. But it's not going to come from the traditional photos and video that most content creators are going to want to make for you, because they are just thinking about what looks aesthetically pleasing. What is the normal? How can I create more of the same thing? As somebody who's spent the last 15 years creating with a camera in my hand, let me tell you something about the photo industry, the video industry. We want, as creators, to be as repeatable as possible. That is the mark of, quote, a good creative, is that I have such a repeatable product that you know exactly what you're going to get when you hire me. That is considered excellent. When I was a boudoir photographer, it was being able to show the same poses over and over again with different bodies and skin colors and outfits. It's the same repeatability that drives home this point of like, you can have this too. And there is a place for that in creating a portfolio as a creative. But when it comes to how that serves a business owner, massive disconnect. Massive disconnect. Because I am going to feel good as a creator being like, oh, look at me. Here I've created 700 of the exact same photo across 700 different clients. That's impressive. But to the world of people looking to you for power and authority and to feel something and be like, I have to buy from her, those images are doing nothing. They're doing nothing. What is it going to make you actually stop your scroll? Because, you will hear me say this a million times, what makes us stop is not words alone. Something has to catch the visualness of our eye. We are visual creatures. It is what social media is all about. Something has to make you pause long enough for the words on that reel or carousel to register, to make you go, I want to read that caption. And yet we're all so freaking focused on like, what's the right thing to say? What's the right thing to say? And of course, there are things that are better about how you can speak, the way you can talk, the way that you can communicate. It has taken me a long time to not say, all the time. And you know what? Here's the deal. I still do. So, but I have gotten better about the way that I speak and becoming somebody who is more definitive in the way that I talk and portray my ideas. It takes practice. There is a skill set that is needed there. Please hear me that I'm not saying that messaging doesn't matter. Of course it does. Of course it does. But if you want people to actually pay attention to you, to actually come back over and over again to your content, to see you as somebody that they're like, I like consuming her content, you're going to have to do more than have nice things to say. Because otherwise, they're just scrolling through their feed and being like, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. They're waiting for something to make them feel something. And again, that doesn't always have to be a positive. There are things that I have read in the last couple days that are by people I deeply respect that I wholeheartedly disagreed with the post. I will pick on... Actually, maybe I won't pick on her. I'll tell you the story. I won't say who it was. But there's somebody that I know and love dearly. She made a post the other day. And I was like, I just full stop disagree with her entire premise. This is somebody I look to for advice. Somebody who I trust very much. Somebody that I think is brilliant and smart. And generally speaking, I would have nothing, to say. But her post gave me such a visceral reaction that I sat down and I recorded a voice note that I am then I have turned into a post that I'll post later this week that is my personal feelings on why I think she's wrong. I'm not posting it that way, but her being so firmly rooted in her perspective caused me to have such a visceral reaction to, I think that's fucking bullshit, that I'm going to write a post about it. Did it make me respect her any less? No, but it made her interesting to me. I don't want friends in my life that I agree with. If I wanted to be surrounded by people that I agreed with on everything, I would not have married the woman I married. For those of you who have never met Jordan a day in your life, let me tell you a little bit about my sweet, darling wife. She is one of the most opinionated people I have ever met in my entire life. She is also somebody that is very definitive with her opinions and will state them as if they are absolute fact and she will hold to them without moving until she either of her own accord or is presented with evidence to say, nope, that's wrong. And then she is happy to abandon that previously held thought and to hold a new one. There are a lot of people, specifically women, who would say this is not a great personality trait. It is one of my favorite things about her. She knows who she is, what she believes, why she believes it at any given time, and that is not movable. And yet there is also humility to understand in her that she is going to get things wrong. but she will hold to something. She doesn't care if people disagree with her. She doesn't care if people like her. Sometimes that makes me uncomfortable. I will keep 100 with you guys. Sometimes I'm like, babe, we want that client to like you. We want these people to think that you're a nice person. And she's like, I am a nice person. I don't need to have them think that I am. I know that I am. And I'm like, oh, hit them with the truth. She makes people feel something. When you meet her, you immediately get a sense of who she is. And here's the deal. Some people meet her and they don't like her. Some people meet her and they're like, I want to be her best friend. And I think we as business owners need to be more willing to show up with our values, to show up with our full personalities, to say things, and also, to borrow from Jordan, be willing to pivot, to change when we have evolved, when our thinking on something has evolved, but to not be wishy-washy. Men aren't wishy-washy. They're not like, I don't know, I kind of think this thing over here. They're like, the sky is blue. Except today, I'm looking out my window right now. The sky is not blue. The sky is like the most perfect shade of dreary gray. So when somebody says the sky is blue, are they right or are they wrong? If I say the sky is gray today, am I right or wrong? Be willing to say the thing and to disregard what everyone else is telling you is true. Be willing to live it with your own perspective. And, don't feel like you have to be obnoxious about it if that's not your personality. Not everybody is going to be as like bold and aggressive about their personality and their opinions as Jordan is. But she's not afraid to make people feel something, because to her it's like, well, if you feel based off XYZ things that you don't like me, great, get the fuck out of my face. Bye-bye. I'll have to play this for her and ask if that was a pretty legitimate recreation of how she would say that. But that's genuinely how she is. And yet we have been taught, specifically as women, specifically women in business, that we should make as many people like us as possible, to not move the boat as much as possible, to articulate our zone of genius thing that we sell in as broad of terms as possible, so it's as appealing to the most people as possible, to put visuals out that aren't too much, that are professional enough that people take you seriously, that look high-end enough that people who have money would want to pay you. And that's the secret to success. And it's why the internet is so fucking boring. The people that I am like so excited by, I might not even like a lot of their businesses, but I'm like, you're over there doing something really fucking cool and weird. I have a client right now who we just came back from Vegas and did a photo shoot. Shout out to Linda. Hopefully one point I will have her on this podcast. She's a legend. She's like, I believe 53. She is not one of us young spring chickens in this industry. She has been around the block. She understands sales psychology arguably better than almost anybody I have ever met in my entire life. And we went to Vegas to do a photo shoot. She's a new offer called the Black Sheep Society. Fucking iconic branding. Iconic. Name, all of it. And she wanted this like mobster vibe. Now, I think some people would be like, mobster, sort of, like a little sprinkle of it. It would be this like light little moment. She was like, no, I want to go all the way in. She went and got a fedora from the Mob Museum. Come on. And it's iconic. It is absolutely unique and different and feels so powerful. And it's going to catch people's attention. Why? Because it is not the same vanilla bullshit that we've all been like conditioned to see as being, quote, professional. She is professional simply because she is a professional. She doesn't need, photos with her arms crossed to be like, I'm a professional. Neither do you. We had so much fun shooting around her hotel room, the hallways, the hotel bar, literally just leaning all the way into this world that we're creating for her, this mobster. She had a phrase that I don't know if it's from something or she made it up or what, but it was born to be a gangster, forced to be a girl. And that was the making of this photo shoot. And it's exciting. It's different. It's something where people are going to be like, I don't know what that is, but the level of confidence and power and personality that is just bleeding through her photos and video is going to make people stop their scroll. And you don't need to work with me to have that. Hear me loud and fucking clear. I don't care if you live in a remote island somewhere. As long as you got a phone and some cell service, you can create content like that with your phone. Because, again, if you were to go to Linda's page, you would see her making that content with her iPhone. The way she speaks makes you stop. The way she, even just the way she physically talks, the cadence of her voice, how expressive her body and her face is when she speaks. That is interesting. She's not just sitting there saying the thing that's powerful. She is in your face telling it to you like it is the most important thing that you're ever going to hear that day. Because to her it is. And again, you don't have to be her. I have another darling person in my life whom I absolutely adore, who is probably the polar opposite of that. She's very quiet. She is, I would call her a gentle soul. She's not a yeller. She's not the most loud and boisterous person. But when you meet her, the way she looks at people, it runs ice through my veins just thinking about it. Because there is this deep presence to her that you can feel even if you're watching her on an Instagram Live. When she speaks, the cadence of her voice, it draws you in. You want to know what the next thing that's going to come out of her mouth is. Everything about her brand is ease and flow and this rich femininity. She's not out here yelling. She's not out here boisterous. She's not having a mob brand, but she's just as powerful. And I think that's what I want to bring to you guys today. You have to be willing to not only make people feel something, which means they're either going to feel good or bad about it. You have to be able to stand 10 toes down on that. You also have to be willing to feel something yourself. And here's the thing I've noticed in doing this for a while. I think that we don't want to do stuff for us because of how vulnerable that is. I'll give you an example. I have been in the middle of a rebrand it feels more like a rebirth than a rebrand, if I'm being honest, a while now. There has been this shedding of every time I feel like I've gotten to the bottom and then I've come out on the other side, it's like there's something else that I almost have to go somewhere else. And then it's there's more to go through. It's like cleaning out a house where there's tons of closets and you've forgotten how much shit you've shoved in them. I feel like I just keep finding closets in my own spirit. And I have had this vision of what I wanted to come out on the other side of this rebirth, rebrand, and have my visual identity look like. I have for a long time had the way I present myself on social media be suits and fur coats and less smiles and fierceness, because for me, that has felt like power. And in all of this, I've realized that for me, that is one expression of power for me. But it's also, I view power as a playground where there are so many different things we can interact with. And if you were to go to a playground and only want to swing on the slides, I'm not even going to try taking that out. We're going to leave that in here. If you were to go to a playground and the only thing that you interacted with was the slide, you'd have no idea how magical the swings are, how fun a merry-go-round is, what it's like to swing on monkey bars, right? If we only live in one expression of our power, if we only allow ourselves one slice of something, it waters it down. And I've known this. And yet I have a vision, and I'm going to put this in a podcast. And hopefully by the time I share this podcast, I will have at least made efforts to do what I'm about to say. But this is just me being real with you guys. The vision I hold for this is the words that I'm using to describe my brand are it's a power playground. And so I have this gown, it's hot pink, it's got a bodysuit underneath it, sheer, it's fucking ridiculous. I want to go shoot on a playground in a gown. I want photos that feel fierce, and I want my laughter. I want to let go. I want an expression of me that feels like my highest and youngest self have had a party. Because to me, that is what power feels like to me. You know, I think so often in spirituality space, we talk about our highest self and how we're trying to work towards her. And I talk about this in the opening episode, that for me, my highest self is this older woman and she's sitting on a porch and I can picture her. And I go to her a lot in my own mind for wisdom. And yet the part of me that I am constantly more so trying to get back to is like a 3-year-old Emma, where the world felt free, where everything was possible, where you could be a president or a surgeon or Barney when you grew up. Where I remember my sister and I, we lived in a house in Georgia where like had one of those like staircases that turned. So it was like, you know, you went down some stairs, there was a landing, and then it turned again, and you went down some more stairs and there was a landing. And we would stand on the landing closest to the bottom of the stairs, and we would try to fly while jumping off of it. And I remember we've talked the story several times about how we'd be like, oh my God, we got air that time. I really flew. And you believe when you're a child that you can do anything. And the older I get, the more I hope to return to that version of me. But let me tell you something. Even just saying that feels vulnerable. To allow her to live out loud feels like one of the scariest fucking things I possibly could do. But I know in my soul, in my toes, in every inch of me, that the more I allow myself to be her, the more I will make people feel something. And sure, some of what people are going to feel is, wow, she's really childish. Wow, that's immature. Like, why are we playing on a playground? I thought you were like some 7-figure content creator. But there are going to be people that see that and feel permission, that feel power, that want to reconnect with their own sense of play, that their own sense of being present fully with every version of themselves. And again, I get it. I know how vulnerable it feels. Why is that photo shoot doesn't exist yet is because of that. And yet, I know that that is what matters. You have to be willing to make people feel something. And often that comes from you feeling something. Do you even know how to feel something? I will be so honest with y'all. There was a period of my life in 2024 where I did not know how to feel anything other than fear. I was so afraid of everything. I wanted to do the right thing, say the right thing, be the right person, show up for my clients who wanted me to be XYZ person. I tried to mend and fit and squish who I was into whatever version someone else needed from me. I didn't know how to feel anything other than fear. And if you're listening to this, to get to the other side of that, if you're sitting there being like, I'm there, all I feel is fear, you have to come face to face with what's underneath that fear. For me, it was rejection. There were people that I knew that if I did not stand in line would reject me. And they did. And I survived. And I built an even larger business in their absence. You can too. And once I got past that, I had to figure out, okay, now that fear isn't the only thing I'm feeling, what else do I want to feel? And I won't tell you that was a fast process, because it wasn't. That whole feeling like I was going to be left, and I was the end of 2024. And this wasn't just one person. This was several different relationships. 2024 was a year of like just great loss for me with people. Great loss. And it took me from the end of 2024 to maybe 2 months ago, a month ago, to come out and start really feeling a year and a half to really feel like I was like, okay, I love feeling excited. I love chasing my own joy. I love chasing my own creativity. That lights me up. I love having a wacky out of left field idea that people think is impossible and then watching it come to life. That does something for me. That makes me feel so fucking alive. And also, when I think about the places in my life and business where I have been successful, it is those things. There was a time when Jordan and I felt like we had nobody in the LGBTQ community in Philly, which is crazy because Philly is this massive democratic hub, right? You'd think that we would be swimming in people. And yet I felt like who I was didn't fit in. And so I created something. We called it the Strong Catalyst. It had a beautiful 2-year life where I would do photo shoots of queer women around Philadelphia. We would do meetups. We did a women's week. I got 10 grand in sponsorship from brands like CVS, or maybe it was Walgreens. I actually think it was Walgreens. This was a decade ago, so forgive me for not remembering all the details. But we got sponsorships. We had Tito's Vodka that just like wrote us a check to pay for a nightclub to be able to host this massive event. All because I had a fucking idea and just ran after it. And it made me money. How many things in your life can you look at and go, I followed my intuition, I followed my gut, I followed my joy, I followed my excitement, and it led me to something that not only fulfilled me at my core, but also was an asset to the business. Because I bet you haven't even taken the time to see how many of those there are. I know that because I didn't. It wasn't until I had my wife basically screaming at my face in a happy way. But like, she was like, I literally said, I'm like, I haven't really done anything. And she lost it at me and was like, you did this and you did this and you've done this and you've done this and you've done this and you've done this and this thing over here and this thing and that thing. And then I started throwing things. She was like, see? And I was like, oh my God. I really did do all of that by doing whatever the fuck I wanted. By chasing what made me excited. Now, granted, that can't be the only business strategy. It can't just be chase this thing and this thing and this thing. There has to be maybe a tiny bit more structure around it. There has to be offers and ways for people to pay you and some semblance. But I will also tell you that there are women who have made millions of dollars who do not have systems, who have just chased what has made them excited. I have quite a few of them as clients. They are out there doing whatever the fuck they want to do, changing their niche every 5 seconds, constantly reinventing themselves, and they are successful. If they get to be successful, so can you. You literally can do anything you want to do. That's what makes us so powerful as humans, guys. We can do anything. And I wanted to create this as a podcast episode. I wanted to come on here and share those thoughts with you. I wanted to bring forward that I too struggle with some of this. That you have to be willing to make people feel something. You have to be okay with people feeling something positive and negative. And you have to be willing to make yourself feel something. That's the core of it all. And that is deeply vulnerable and very scary, but is one of the most worthwhile things that we can do. That's all I'm going to say for today's episode. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me, whether I'm in the car with you or on a walk or keeping you company while you are trudging along getting work done today. Thank you for allowing me to be in your ear. And as always, stop being afraid to be a lot. I'll see you guys next time.
Begging you to play.